The Ironman Langkawi Malaysia is an annual triathlon which is a once-a-year event that takes place in November. It is a challenging event that starts with a 2.4-mile swim followed by a 112-mile bike ride and then a 26.2-mile marathon run. This triathlon is one of the most well-known endurance events in the world.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Aliful Azim Muhammad Qadri and my number metric is 267588. And today I would like to talk about our first race register for our event, which is the Ironman event. So the first race register are equipment breakdown or stranded. And so how can it happen? Things like the sharp edges, for example sharp woods or chips or bugs, can make the tire for bicycle explode, which make the cycling becomes a problem. And besides, consistent also possible into riding and also hitting the stone during cycling, which cause this incident to happen. Sometimes when an organizer is not properly manage their equipment such as wire or cable, contestant usually can slip into this slack of the cable, hence exposing towards the danger. So the consequences is that a contestant who has the urge to win the event cannot be accomplished, therefore they fail into finishing the event during the time given. And usually this incident can cause a minor and also major impacts. As for consequence rating, I will rate it as 1 because this risk can usually happen with a minor or low injuries and doesn't have effects on our event financial loss. And the likelihood of this risk are E, because this event is rarely happen and only occur in certain circumstances. Usually organizer is well managing their events. Then for level of this risk is low, whereas it can be managed by a routine procedure. And as for possible treatment, we can recommend that each of these cyclists carry a minimum 2 kits and also bring extra inner tube and also service the bike before the event launch. For the second risk of our risk register is incident. Usually when the event has too many vehicles at one area during cycling or also jogging, contestant possibly has a body contact with another cyclist or jogging, and also animal cross suddenly appear can cause this incident to be happening, especially in our outdoor events. As for consequences, possibility of death and also injury, which is human loss, and also event property damages such as financial loss towards the event, also car and also motorcycle of the event. And consequence rating for this risk is 4 because of the extensive injuries and also which cause the event a major financial loss and also an off-site release with no detrimental effects. And the likelihood, I will rate it as a B because it will be likely to happen due to tendency of outdoor events and mostly occur in most circumstances. And the level of risk of this risk are high, and also it needs a very detailed research and also management planning at senior level. As for possible treatment, I recommend that use a barrier to separate the cyclists and also the crowd. Monitor closely the crowd or any close vehicle movement using RELA or safety in charge. Obviously, brief rules and also regulations to avoid any of these incidents happen. And the third risk for our event are tripping. So how can it happen? Sometimes contestant is tired and also due to the long exhaustion of the events, and also rainy days make the track cause a very slippery and also blurry, and also loose mat and rut by the organizer are not managed properly. As for consequences, contestant can fall into a major injury such as minor injuries such as scratches and also major injury such as broken leg. And consequence rating is 2 because of the risk can be treated using first aid treatment and also cause a medium financial loss toward the event, which can be released immediately contained. And the likelihood of this rating is D because of it's unlikely to be happen because of the professional contestant could occur at the same time. And the level of risk is low and it can be managed also by a routine procedure. And as for possible treatment, have a little break at the checkpoint. Always focus on safety first and also keep your composure in the events.
Hello doctor, my name is Valanmadi. My metric number is 277555. I will explain about the next risk is transportation and traffic. It's usually risky thing for running and cycling activity. Most injuries or accidents in roads caused by motorists when they make simple mistakes such as changing direction without checking their blind spot. Apart from that, accident at roundabouts and road service is also can be happen. Not only that, dangerous drivers like who drunk also make chances to happen accidents. Pothole as well as concrete road also can be reason for this risk. Transportation and traffic issue can be happen especially in situations such as when cyclists are approaching from behind, coming out of junction, using roundabouts, and also overtaking or filtering. Through traffic, so there are certain things that present the greatest risk of injury to cyclists. Consequence is maybe bring the terrible injuries to death, harmful to bone health, property damage like cycle breakdown or loss. It may bring also financial loss. Possible treatment is we should prepare a safety sign to participants so that they can alert. Not only that, road closures and arrange daily monitoring road and traffic light, maybe with a whistle or red flag to bring attention to the highlight the dangers can help to avoid this risk. Lastly, event team also must brief and share the information about the traffic and road rules for participants before the event. Consequence rating is 4 and likelihood rating is D and the risk is of course I. Next is food safety. Food safety is one of the most important consideration event because food poisoning among the attendees will be terrible. Even worse is spot event like Ironman event when there are temporary toilets and hand wash facilities only. It can be happen when people serve food and beverages with unhygienic. Not only that, not keep foods well covered also can be risky to food department because sometimes it has chances to have bacteria in foods and also small stones, nails, human hair and also more. Besides that, improper cooking temperature also can be unsafe to participants to eat. Next is consequence. The consequence is will get a negative review for event which will damage the event image and also will bring health issues to participants. Possible treatment for this risk is we have ensured that food suppliers have appropriate license and food safety standards. Not only that, the event team of Ironman event also have to visual checks of food that made and make sure they use hot water, soap and hygienic hand drying materials when make food for participants. At the same time, we also have to check the food is kept in right temperature or not. Consequence rating is 2, likelihood rating is E and the risk is low. Medical assistance. Accidents and injuries are frequent at events, so medical assistance is also one of the risks at Ironman event because we will have lot of people in one space, especially this is an sports event, so of course there is chances that happen accidents, injuries, chest pain or difficulty in breathing, or sometimes participants also will face fainting or in mental state due to tiredness or some other reasons. Activities like cycling, they have chances to broken bones and dislocated joints happen sometimes. Consequence is first aid treatment and major financial loss if broken bones happen. For possible treatment, for medical assistance risk, we will make sure that we got appropriate first aid staff and medical supplies on site and ensure we are aware of where the local hospitals are because if some serious injuries or accidents happen, we should bring the participants to the near hospital or clinic for their health safety. Include this info in briefs to our staff and crew so our team can react immediately. With our base cover, our team will be able to deal with accidents and injuries without the panic. The consequence rating is 4, likelihood rating is A, and the risk is of course high. That's all from me. Thank you.
My name is Latrasi Anandan. My metric number is 278822. My part is to explain three risks, which is crowd crushing or overcrowding, unexpected weather condition, and emergency service access. First of all, crowding happens because of large event with no perfect system to organize, too many people attending at the same time, small places lacking space to move around, and by chance it happens due to people getting panic if any emergency occurs. Consequences that will happen if a crowd crash happens are crowd kills or death, severe injuries, panic attacks, and financial loss due to property damage. The consequence rating for this risk is 4 and the likelihood rating is 8. The level of risk given is high. The possible treatment for crowd crashing are prepare the safety fence and sign for the direction and give a simple explanation of the signs of density to attendees and participants before the event start. Managing team have the perfect guidance of volunteers and attendees must listen to the guidance of railer and the police. If there is no guidance from any volunteers, make sure the event managing team find a quick way to evacuate attendees. The second risk is unexpected weather condition. It is the reason for climate change or global warming. Although the terms climate change and global warming are sometimes used, the reason increase in the global average temperature near the Earth's surface is only one element of climate change. The consequence of the risk is that the event may be postponed or to another day or cancelled temporarily until the weather condition normalize. The consequence rating for this risk is 3 and the likelihood rating is D. The level of risk given is moderate. The possible treatment for unexpected weather condition have an established evacuation plan and have a backup location. Moreover, make sure the staff know the plan and managing team will take the quick action in liaising with emergency services and other authorities. If the situation is critical, transfer responsibility for the incident to them. In addition, the in charge person makes sure to check the weather before arranging the events. Thus, another way is reschedule the event for another day. The third risk is that emergency service happen because of any uncertainty. The step taken in the first few minutes after an emergency are critical. A timely notice to employees or attendees to evacuate, seek shelter, or go into lockdown mode can save lives. The consequence will happen if the emergency services access were late are injuries, death, panic attack, and disabilities. The consequence rating for this risk is 4 and likelihood rating is B. The level of risk given is high. The possible treatment are managing team should prepare or inform an ambulance, fire, or rescue services in case of any emergency. Additionally, get people away from immediate danger and prepare an expert medical team to solve the problem if anything happens before the ambulance arrives. If the situation is critical, transfer responsibility for the incident to them. The in charge person makes sure check the health of the participant before participating in competition. That's all from me. Thank you.
Next is dehydration. It can happen when participants didn't drink enough water but keep doing the activity and then they lose sugar and salt. The consequence are faint and doesn't have enough energy to finish the challenge. The consequence rating is 2, likelihood rating is C, and the level of risk is medium. Possible treatment is by providing water or energy drink to participants by placing water station every 1 kilometer with medical volunteers. Third possible treatment is to give a brief reminder for participants to stay hydrated. The 11th risk is muscular injury. It can happen when muscle is overstretched or torn. The consequences are injury or muscle rupture, cannot fully participate in physical activities, inflexibility, insufficient condition, and tiredness. The consequence rating is 2, likelihood rating is D, and the level of risk is low. Possible treatment is that the medical volunteer must be fully alert for the situation, and the second possible treatment is using RICE method, which is R for rest, I for ice, C for compression, and V for elevation. R, which is rest, is to protect the injured or sore area. Ice, which is use cold stuff to help reduce pain or swelling. C for compression, which is compress or wrap the injured area with elastic bandage. E for elevation, which is to elevate the injured area on pillows while applying ice. The 12 risks are showing negative physical response. It can happen when participants didn't eat or drink enough water before the event start. The consequences are death and injury. The consequence rating is 4, likelihood rating is C, and the level of risk is high. Possible treatment is through communication, where we will communicate using walkie-talkie if such incident happen. The managing team will inform the medical volunteer to rescue participants, and the medical team will also have to immediately take an action to get the ambulance ready. The next risks are sunstroke. It can happen when body is overheating under high temperature. The consequences are cyst, faint, and heat stroke. The consequence rating is 2, likelihood rating is D, and the level of risk is low. The first possible treatment is by giving briefing about the possible weather on the day of the event. Second possible treatment are medical, volunteer, and ambulance are on standby. Event organizers also will provide the spectrum sunscreen and will also inform the attendees to wear lightweight clothes.
Assalamualaikum and good evening. My name is Ahmad Ho Ali bin Rosli. My metric number 273492. So I will to next risk for our event is pandemic. As we know, we are still living in a state of COVID-19 pandemic, right? So any event or activity that involves many people and contact will cause this COVID-19 virus to easily spread. So how the risk can happening the event? Because of the vulnerable and at high risk of being infected. In addition, increasing the level and rating of infection on COVID-19 virus. As we already know that COVID-19 virus is very dangerous and easily spread quickly. Next, not getting a good and higher response. The public will be afraid to participate in events that involve many people. Next, the consequences of the risk is COVID-19 virus disease. From the disease will probably critical illness and death, human loss. They can perform well in terms of financial cost. They could not do the work physically due to the pandemic hit. The way to overcome this risk is to keep on up to date way on how to keep the audience safe. Always take care of every corner of the part related to the prescribed procedure. Next, follow the SOP procedures as prescribed by the Ministry of Health, such as always keeping a distance between one and the others, prohibited from contact, and more. Last, management can provide the sanitizer for safety. The organizer can provide basic safety requirement to run event in the peak season, such as providing hand sanitizer and so on. For consequences rating is 5, likelihood rating is B, and level of risk is high. The next risk for our event is stealing. This act of stealing is a major offence in the court of Malaysia. It will affect many parties. Is left unchecked. So, how the risk can happening the event? Because of security guard did not patrol. Event that involve valuables such as expensive bicycle, sabotage can also happen from multiple parties, as this is a match. They want to cripple the administration of the lawn party before or during the competition. Furthermore, event organizers do not have a sophisticated security system. Sophisticated systems such as CCTV are not provided. The easier it is for this bad guy to make a case of theft and so on. Next, for the consequences section for this risk, the first one is could be arrested. Offenders will be arrested and punished if found guilty of theft by a state court. The second one is bad reputation, means having been found guilty and arrested, the offender will tarnish the good name of him and his own family. The dignity of the community will be tarnished due to the bad deed. Next, for possible treatment, the effort that can be done is management need to improve the security system available, such as installing CCTV at every corner of the event venue to prevent theft or sabotage. Next, take action in the event of theft case. For example, the management should take appropriate action to launch the event until it is completed successfully. And lastly, do a spot check on attendees at the entrance. Assigned security guard should be more alert to such things for the safety all of parties. So the sequences rating for the risk is 1, likelihood rating is E, and the level of risk is low. Thank you.
That is all the possible risks that probably will happen during the event day that we can identify. That's all from us. Thank you.